Straight ahead on WBKB News at 11. This afternoon, officials were dispatched to an accident on Long Rapids Road. Plus, the DDA hosted the second annual Chowder Cook-Off at Culligan Plaza in downtown Alpena. And people gathered at the Besser Museum as RE/MAX provided free hot air balloon rides for the community. We'll have those stories plus your local weather and sports. The news that affects you starts now.
From Rogers City to Tawas City and all points in between. This is Northeast Michigan's award-winning news team. We are your source for news, weather, and sports. We are WBKB News at 11.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Liwanag. At about 4:30 this afternoon, the Michigan State Police and firefighters were dispatched to a two-vehicle accident on Long Rapids Road. The accident occurred as a motorcycle going eastbound collided with a truck going southbound on Long Rapids Road. Officials arrived on the scene to investigate the incident and also maintain traffic flow. It took officers and firefighters about half an hour to clear up all the debris from the accident. Two people involved in the accident suffered injuries and were immediately taken to Alpena Regional Medical Center. The accident is currently under investigation. The Thunder Bay Theater are currently in the middle of their month-long show, Forever Plaid, and over the weekend they hosted a Coney Dog fundraiser at Take 5 Deli. This event came about when the folks from Take 5 Deli reached out to the Thunder Bay Theater about a possibility of a fundraiser to help support the theater. Thunder Bay Theater graciously accepted, and $1 of every Coney Dog sold from the event went straight to the theater. The Thunder Bay Theater appreciates the community's constant support as they continue to wow locals with their current show, Plaid Forever.
Part of what we do is based on donations and fundraising. Ticket sales usually only make up about 60% of what we need to keep the doors open and to pay the wonderful professionals that come in from all over the country. So receiving help like this from our local community is one of the things that makes Thunder Bay Theater what it is.
Forever Plaid is now playing at Thunder Bay Theater. For dates and showtimes, visit thunderbaytheater.com. As a part of this weekend's Lake Huron Discovery Tour, the Besser Museum held a RE/MAX hot air balloon ride event for everyone in the community. RE/MAX New Horizons teamed up with the Besser Museum to provide free hot air balloon rides for people of all ages. Locals got a chance to see the beautiful fall colors from the sky and a complete bird's eye view of Alpena. Children and their parents also learned about the science behind the balloon and how it works. Even though the event was free, donations were accepted to support the Children's Miracle Network.
The Children's Miracle Network is a great cause, and it's a wonderful charity, and it ties hand in hand with what's going on at the museum today. The children can come take advantage with their parents of the balloon rides and all the activities that are going on at the museum today.
The RE/MAX balloon rides lasted from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. yesterday. The fall season is bringing in the colder weather, and the Downtown Development Authority of Alpena warmed things up with the second annual Chowder Cook-Off. People in the community gathered at Culligan Plaza in downtown Alpena to enjoy some delicious chowder and great company. 9 competitors entered the cook-off for a chance to win the Chowder Crown. People who attended the event got a chance to score their top 3 favorite chowders. With a small fee, locals took advantage of the opportunity of good food and even got a sample of the new brew in town.
Just $10 to get into the Chowder Cook-Off. With that, you got a taste of each of the chowders. We're also highlighting Austin Brothers Beer and Thunder Bay Winery Wines. And the money goes straight back into programs that the Downtown Development Authority does for the community.
The DDA is already planning for next year's Chowder Cook-Off. Information will be available for the public soon. The 20th Annual Great Lakes Lighthouse Festival continued this morning at the Sanctuary Inn. The event provides several activities for people of all ages, including entertainment, art, and vendors from all over the state. The festival boasts over 100 maritime vendors, including lighthouse preservation, groups, artists, authors, and more. The Great Lakes Lighthouse Festival is an event for people to learn about our area's history and also brings awareness to help conserve our lighthouses.
These people that come from all over the United States to the Great Lakes Lighthouse Festival are spending money in your restaurants, your hotels, right on down the line. And it also helps all the lighthouses out. Every lighthouse has a gift shop, every lighthouse has a donation jar. All the lighthouses are run by volunteers. So the more people that get involved, the more that can be done to save these lighthouses for future generations.
The Lighthouse Festival finished off this morning at the Sanctuary Inn. Coming up next on WBKB News at 11, find out why pets are now allowed to board a well-known train service. All that and more, next. Welcome back. In state news, most residents heeded city officials' request that they stay away from a rally of gun-toting demonstrations who protested Islam and immigration in Dearborn. The Detroit Press News reports the protesters openly carried guns while holding signs with sentiments such as, quote, "Stop Islamization of America." They were met with counter-protests from people with a variety of messages, some opposing racism, others promoting peace, and a number who wore weapons but said they support Muslims. The protest was a part of a global rally for humanity promoted in numerous cities on Facebook, including Atlanta, Huntsville, Alabama, and Louisville, Kentucky. A Facebook page for the event referenced Minister Louis Farrakhan, whose Nation of Islam rallied in Washington on Saturday to mark the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. Farrakhan has been accused of anti-Semitic language and speeches and urging violence. Many of the Facebook postings urged those attending rallies to openly carry guns where local laws allow. Michigan permits open carry. Saturday's boisterous assembly included about 75 people, mostly counter-protesters, according to Dearborn Police Chief Ronald Haddad. In your Money Watch, Walmart will soon have a new chief financial officer. Brett Briggs will take over the post on December 31st. He's an executive in the retail chain's international division and has been with the company since 2000. American Airlines Group had a record number of passenger miles last month. The company reported 18.1 billion total revenue passenger miles in September. That's more than 7% more than the same time last year. And pets will soon be welcome aboard some Amtrak trains. The passenger train service says riders will be able to take a cat or small dog on trips up to 7 hours long on some of their Northeast routes. But pet owners will have to pay a $25 fee. If you're heading to the pump, GasBuddy.com and AAA of Michigan helped us find the highest and lowest gas prices locally and across the state. The lowest price for gas in Alpena is coming in at $2.37 at Meyer. The highest is $2.38 at Marathon. Across the state, the lowest price at the pump is $2.13 in Flint, and the highest price is coming in at $3.60 in Copper Harbor. There's still much more to come on WBKB News at 11. Kyle Logan will be in with sports, and I'll be right back with your full weather forecast. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. It is now time to look at the weather. All right, well today, your high was at 80 degrees, your low was 52 degrees, normal high was 58 degrees, low was 38 degrees. Your record high back in 1928 was 87 degrees, and your record low back in 1964 was 21 degrees. Sunrise at 7:45 a.m., sunset at 6:57 p.m. Your current conditions is 69 degrees outside right now currently, and your humidity is 63%. And your radar, you can see the clouds clearing up from last night, which leads us to tonight. We have a low around 57 with south winds at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with the high near 70. And tomorrow night, we'll see a chance of showers with a low of 50. And now taking a look at our extended weather forecast. Tuesday, mostly cloudy, highs near 55. Wednesday and Thursday, partly sunny with highs near 54. Friday, a chance of showers with highs near 51. And Saturday, mostly sunny skies with highs near 48. It's now time to look at today's photo of the day. Today's photo was sent in by Ken Fader of Alpena. Now, this is a photo Ken took of a sunrise on the river behind the Senior Center here in Alpena. It's definitely refreshing to wake up to a view just like this one. Thank you, Ken, for sending us this photo. If you have a photo you would like to send us, email it along with a short description to news@wbkb11.com. In your Health Watch, nearly 9 million children in America are at risk for measles, according to new research from Emory University. The study also found that nearly 25% of children 3 and under are at risk for highly contagious illness. Researchers say most have not received the vaccine or received only 1 of 2 recommended doses. A major study of breast cancer patients finds catching cancer in its earliest stages makes the biggest difference for successful treatment. Dutch researchers compared survival rates of over 173,000 patients. They found patients with smaller cancers that have not spread their lymph nodes are more likely to survive. Older patients take longer to recover from concussions, according to a new study in the journal Radiology. Researchers found concussion patients in their 20s had significantly reduced symptoms at their follow-up visits, but there was no significant change of symptoms in patients who were in their 50s and 60s. In national news, a Texas police department is back in the spotlight after a video surfaces of a councilman getting tased while on his knees with his back to officers. Police say he was resisting arrest. Jerica Duncan reports.
26-year-old Jonathan Miller was on his knees with his hands by his side when he was tased Thursday night by Prairie View, Texas police.
Go over there before you go to jail for interfering, man.
Before using the taser, police warned the city councilman several times to put his hands behind his back.
He's gonna have to taser. You're not doing like you're.
Officers arrived at the scene to question Miller's fraternity brothers, who were outside Miller's home. Miller came out to ask what was going on.
I'm not trying to be combative or anything. Okay, I'm not either. I understand that, and you're coming in at the tail end of it. Like he just told you, everything is okay. They already explained everything to me.
But the situation escalated when another officer asked Miller to move away.
I'm telling you one more time, man. Go over there before you go to jail. Turn around.
I'm not saying nothing.
Turn around.
Get your hands off me.
Turn around.
I'm not saying nothing.
Miller was arrested and spent the night in jail.
I feel like I was checking on my line brothers, and I feel like it escalated to a situation where I was tased and it shouldn't have came that far.
But Chief Larry Johnson is standing by his officers, who are still on the job.
They asked that you step away from the scene and allow them to finish what they were doing out of safety for all concerned.
Jerica Duncan, CBS News, New York.
And I have to check them out.
Councilman Miller was charged with interfering with public duties and resisting arrest. In national news, the Democratic presidential debate is 2 days away, and a new poll seems to show the same old issue dogging front-runner Hillary Clinton: trust. It's the same topic troubling Donald Trump's Republican campaign. Brian Webb has the latest.
The latest CBS poll shows voters have trust issues with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Clinton scored just 35% among Democratic primary voters for being honest and trustworthy. On the Republican side, Trump comes in even lower at 33%.
I happen to be an honorable guy. But one thing that's very important, when I go to New Hampshire and Iowa and South Carolina, where I have very good numbers in terms of favorability, you know why? Because I'm there a lot.
Trump is still top dog in the Republican race at 27%, considered the strongest leader. But he and Jeb Bush have the highest unfavorable ratings among the Republicans, with Bush dropping 11 points since August. Ben Carson, who is running second to Trump, gets the best Republican numbers for being honest and caring. Carson told John Dickerson why he believes Congress is so dysfunctional.
Over the last few elections, a lot of people have been sent to Washington with the thought that maybe some changes could be made, and I don't think anyone's seeing any changes.
Despite her struggles, Clinton is still far ahead in the Democratic race. The same CBS poll shows her holding on to 46% of primary voters, compared to 27% for Sanders and 16% for Vice President Joe Biden. If Biden does run, he'll have a head start on the honesty issue, finishing ahead of all the candidates at 61%. Brian Webb for CBS News, New York.
The Democratic presidential debate begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time this Tuesday in Las Vegas. Sports is coming up next, and Kyle Logan is here with a preview. Kyle?
Neil, tonight in sports, the Flyers in action to close out the weekend. Some postseason baseball and the Sprint Cup Series finally got on the track today. Also, the Detroit Lions back in search of their first win this season. Were they able to finally get over the hump? To find out, you have to come on back. Sports is next. The Alpena Flyers are currently in the midst of their best stretch of the season thus far. Going into their series against the Wild, the Flyers sat 1-6, and suddenly a 2-game win streak gives Eric Peterson's club new life, and on Sunday the hope was a third win in a row. The Flyers split the two matchups they had against the Fighting Irish earlier this year, but they didn't have their best stuff Sunday afternoon. Detroit outshot Alpena 64-24 and won 7-1. The Fighting Irish put up 4 goals in the first period and 3 in the second. The Flyers' lone goal scored in the third was put in by Andrew Cox. The Flyers now sit 1-2 against Detroit this year, 3-7 overall. The Flyers will now return home on the 16th when they meet the Fighting Irish at Northern Lights Arena. Detroit fans are simply looking for any kind of hope. The Lions entered this week 0-4, coming off a very tough and controversial loss to the Seattle Seahawks. This Sunday, the Lions were fortunate to be able to return to Ford Field and play in front of that home faithful, but would that help? The Lions welcoming in the Arizona Cardinals. Early problems for the offense. Second drive, Stafford hands off to Amir Abdullah. He makes a nice spin move, fights for extra yards, but coughs it up, and the Redbirds recover. Fortunately, the defense was able to bail them out. Now late first, still scoreless. Lions in the red zone. Stafford gets it to Theo Riddick. He fights to get to the goal line, and Detroit is on the board first. The Cards would respond early in the second quarter. However, Carson Palmer, he finds his tight end Darren Fells over the middle, and we are tied at 7. More offensive woes, though. Stafford looking for Abdullah in the flat, but the big man Corey Redding picks him off. He takes it all the way down inside the 5. The nice hurdle there as well. Very next play, the handoff to David Johnson. He takes it in, and Arizona goes up 14-7. Later in the second, Cards back inside the red zone. The handoff to Johnson again, and he repeats himself. His second, and the Cards lead by 2 possessions. The Cardinals would really open things up from there. They went into the locker room up 28-7, and they went on to win this one 42-17. The Lions fall to 0-5, the only winless team in the NFL, and afterwards the head coach said this team got beat. Simple as that.
I'm never going to be a part of any excuse making, regardless, no matter where I am, what I'm doing. I've never made an excuse in my life, and not going to start now. And we just didn't play well enough. That's all. We played poorly.
Tough words from the coach right there, and despite the benching of Stafford, Caldwell dismissed any of those thoughts that he might not start next week. The Lions will look for that first win again next week against the Bears. A little afternoon baseball, the Astros and Royals set for game number 3, series tied at 1. Edinson Volquez on the mound for KC and Keuchel for the Stros. Scoreless until the 4th inning, that is until the southpaw hangs one over the middle of the plate, and Lorenzo Cain makes him pay. He pulls it deep to left, and the Royals go up 1-0. Move to the bottom of the 5th, Houston with runners on 2nd and 3rd. Jason Castro at the dish. He lines a fastball back up the middle. That scores both Luis Valbuena and Chris Carter, and the Astros take a 1-run lead. Bottom 6, a little insurance. Runners on the corners. Carlos Gomez up. He singles to center. George Springer scores, and Houston's now up by 2. And just for good measure, bottom 7, Carter up to the plate this time. He sends this inside fastball deep to left. That's a solo shot. The Stros go up 4-1, and that would be more than enough. Houston takes this one 4-2, and they take a 2-1 series lead. The other matchup today, this one in the nightcap, the Texas Rangers and Toronto Blue Jays. The Bluebirds get their first game of this series up 2-0. It was a 3-run jack from Troy Tulowitzki in the 6th inning that opened this game wide open. That home run itself was more than enough run support. Jays starter Marco Estrada pitched into the 7th inning, giving up 1 earned, striking out 4. The Jays take this one 5-1, but they still trail 2-1 in the series. The number of races in the Sprint Cup schedule are slowly dwindling, and the race for the chase is heating up. The Bank of America 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway was scheduled for Saturday night, but moved to Sunday because of rain. Just 12 drivers remain, and with this being the first race of the second round, a win means everything. The Bank of America 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, jump ahead just 35 laps to go. Sam Hornish Jr. forced to pit under green. That hands Joey Logano the lead and Harvick in second. A couple laps later, Harvick attempting to reel Joey in, but a little wiggle from the 4 coming to the line. The gap between him and the 22 a little wider now, and that would be too much to overcome. Joey Logano gets his first win at Charlotte, and he punches the first ticket into the round of 8. Let's see where the points sit after race 1 of round 2. Your leader, of course, is Joey Logano, the only man locked in the round of 8. Kevin Harvick follows him 6 points back. Martin Truex Jr. 7 points back in third. Denny Hamlin 4th, with Kurt Busch and Carl Edwards sitting 5th and 6th. The second half, Jeff Gordon in 7th, 11 points back. Brad Keselowski sits 8th, followed by Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Matt Kenseth, who sits last in 12th. Next week, the boys hit Kansas before closing out the second round at Talladega. Now, before we get on out of here, let's take a look at the Detroit Pistons as they are in the midst of their preseason schedule. 3 games in, 2 losses against the Pacers and Brooklyn Nets, but they are coming off a victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. Currently, there are 5 Pistons averaging at least 10 points per game. Leading the way is Stanley Johnson and Andre Drummond, scoring 17 and 15 points per game, respectively. Detroit will next hit the court Tuesday against the Pacers, and Stan Van Gundy's crew opens up the regular season October 27 in Atlanta. And Neil, back to the little college football. The AP poll, as always, comes out on a Sunday. So Michigan State, they dropped a couple of spots despite getting that win over Rutgers. Still another team that they probably should be beating a little bit better than that. Michigan, a big win, another shutout, 3rd straight for them in Ann Arbor against Northwestern. They jumped up to number 12. That sets up that big matchup in Ann Arbor, Michigan State, this upcoming Saturday. College Game Day announced that they are going to be there, which to me snubs my team a little bit. The Florida Gators undefeated as well. They're in the top 10 at 8, and they have a big matchup against LSU, top 10 matchup, but they go with Michigan. Michigan State can't go against that rivalry.
You cannot go against Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines there, Kyle.
Very true.
It's that Jim Harbaugh effect, just like I said last week.
We'll call it that.
Well, thanks, Kyle.
No problem.
Coming up next on WBKB News at 11, find out why these iconic cars are parading down Paris. All that and more next. Welcome back. Paris's most iconic boulevard was the scene for a spectacular exhibition on Sunday, when a series of cars that captured the public imagination through their appearances in James Bond drove past stunned bystanders. Visitors came out to catch a glimpse of decades of motoring history as Bond's cars, including the latest vehicle to be associated with the fictional British spy, the Aston Martin DB10. For some, it brought back watching James Bond films during their childhood, while others were just astonished by the British-style culture. The car parade comes ahead of the release of the 24th James Bond film, Spectre, which is scheduled to hit theaters in November. Spectre will see British actor Daniel Craig return for his 4th performance as Bond. Do you have a favorite James Bond movie, Kyle?
Not to date. I really like Daniel Craig as James Bond. I know he's gotten a lot of slack for maybe not being as good as Sean Connery or some of the other guys that have played James Bond, but certainly I like some of his movies. Not an avid fan, though, my percent.
Oh, well, yeah. James Bond is just a classic type of film series, and I grew up watching it with my dad, and these cars are very good to look at, and I'm sure I've never been to one of these expensive cars, but even maybe to drive. Would you like to drive one of those Aston Martins?
Certainly, you'd love to drive and certainly love to own a few. I think that'd be more special to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember, you can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on other news items online.
Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, news updates anytime, day or night.
Or add us on Facebook at facebook.com/WBKBTV.
Well, that will do it for tonight's show. Wake up with Erica Fernandez tomorrow morning at 6:30. Good night, everybody.